Welcome to Reflecting Minds. Today we are going to read two chapters from a book, The Power of Awareness of Neville Goddard. The two chapters that we are going to discuss is Consciousness and Power of Assumption. Neville Goddard has been considered prophet, and he has given his own meanings of Bible, which has been misinterpreted by so many people. Recently he has been very popular, and lot of speakers are talking about him and his writings, his teachings, his theories, and his concept or his theories do match with the theories mentioned in Law of One or the Book of Secret or other writers. So we must see that what he is talking about in this book. Chapter 2, Consciousness. It is only by a change of consciousness, by actually changing your concept of yourself, that you can build more stately mansions. The manifestations of the higher and higher concepts. By manifestation is meant experiencing the result of these concepts in your world. It is vital importance to understand clearly just what consciousness is. The reason lies in the fact that consciousness is the one and only reality. It is the first and only cause substance of the phenomena of life. Nothing has existence for a man save through the consciousness he has of it. Therefore, it is a consciousness you must turn, for it is the only foundation on which the phenomena of life can be explained. If we accept the ideas of first cause, it would follow that the evolution of that cause could never result in anything foreign to itself. That is, if the first cause substance is light, all its evolutions, fruits, and manifestations would remain light. The first cause substance being consciousness, all its evolutions, fruits, and phenomena must remain consciousness. All that could be observed would be a higher or lower form of the variation of the same thing. In other words, if your consciousness is the only reality, it must also be the only substance. Consequently, what appears to you as circumstances, conditions, and even material objects are really only the products of your own consciousness. Nature, then, as a thing or a complex of things external to your mind, must be rejected. You and your environment cannot be regarded as existing separately. You and your world are one. Therefore, you must turn from objective appearance of the things to the subjective center of the things, your consciousness. If you truly desire to know the cause of phenomena of life and how to use this knowledge to realize your fondest dreams, in the midst of the apparent contradiction, antagonism, and contrast of your life, there is only one principle at work, only your consciousness operating. Difference does not consist in variety of substance, but in the variety of arrangement of the same cause substance, your consciousness. The world moves with motiveless necessity. By this is meant that it has no motive of its own, but is under the necessity of manifesting your concept. Consciousness is the arrangement of your mind, and your mind is always arranged in an image of all you believe and consent to as true. The rich man who poor man, beggar man, or the thief are not different minds, but the different arrangement of the same mind. In the same sense that a piece of steel, when magnetized, differs not in substance, form, its demagnetized state, but in the arrangement and order of its molecules. A single electron revolving in a specified orbit constitutes the unit of magnetism. When a piece of steel or anything else is demagnetized, the revolving electrons have not stopped. Therefore, the magnetism has not gone out of existence. There is only a rearrangement of the particles so that they produce no outside or perceptible effect. When particles are arranged at the random, mixed up in all directions, the substance is said to be demagnetized. But when particles are marshaled in a ring so that a number of them face in one direction, the substance is a magnet. Magnetism is not generated, it is displayed. Health, wealth, beauty, and genius are not created. They are only manifested by the arrangement of your mind. That is, by your concept of yourself, and your concept of yourself is all that you accept and consent to as true. What you consent to can only be discovered by an uncritical observation of your reaction to life. Your reaction reveals where you live psychologically, and where you live psychologically determines how you live here in the outer visible world. The importance of this in your daily life should be immediately apparent. The basic nature of the primal cause is the consciousness. Therefore, the ultimate substance of all things is consciousness. The power of assumption. Chapter 3. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. All the befalls a man, all this is done by him. All that comes from him happens as a result of his state of consciousness. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves. All that he believes is true and consent to. That is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. Rain falls as a result of a change in the temperature in the higher regions of the atmosphere. So, in like manner, a change of circumstances happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. By ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. To be transformed, the whole basis of your thought must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas. All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. The first step in the renewing of your mind is desire. You must want to be different and the intent to be before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming that the feeling of your wish fulfilled, by desiring to be other than what you are. You can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. The ideal you hope to achieve is always ready for an incarnation, but unless you yourself offer it a human parentage, it is incapable of birth. Therefore, your attitude should be one in which, having desire to express a higher state, you alone accept the task of incarnating this new and greater value of yourself. In giving birth to your ideal, you must bear in mind that the methods of the mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. This is a point that is truly understood by probably not more than one person in a million. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it, by defining it, by thinking of it, whereas you can know a thing spiritually only by becoming it. only by thinking from it. You must be the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. You must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame who spurred with the true desires, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folded his wings within till he became one color and one substance within the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who never to tell return. Just as the moth in his desire to know the flame was willing to destroy himself, so must you in becoming a new person be willing to die to your present self. You must be conscious of being healthy if you are to know what health is. You must be conscious of being secure if you are to know what security is. Therefore, to incarnate a new and greater value of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnate in the body of your life, in confidence that this new value or state of consciousness will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be. This is what wholeness means, what integrity means. They mean submission of the whole self to the feeling of the wish fulfilled in certainty that that new state of consciousness is the renewing of the mind which transforms. There is no order in nature corresponding to this willing submission of the self to the ideal beyond the self. Therefore, it is the height of the fully to expect the incarnation of a new and greater concept of self to come about by the natural evolutionary process, that which requires a state of consciousness to produce its effect obviously cannot be affected without such a state of consciousness. And in your ability to assume the feeling of a greater life, to assume a new concept of yourself, you possess what the rest of the nature does not possess: imagination, the instrument by which you create your own world. Your imagination is an instrument, the means whereby your redemption from the self-will, sickness, poverty is affected. If you refuse to assume the responsibility of incarnation of a new and higher concept of yourself, then you reject the means. The only means whereby your redemption, that is the attainment of your ideal, can be affected. Imagination is only redemptive power in the universe. However, your nature is such that it is optional to you whether you remain in your present concept of yourself, a hungry being longing for the freedom, health, and security, or choose to become the instrument of your own redemption, imagining yourself as that which you want to be, and thereby satisfying your hunger and redeeming yourself. Oh, be strong then, and brave, pure, patient, and true. The work that is yours, let no other hand do. For the strength for all need is faithfully given from the fountain within you, the kingdom of heaven. This was the end of the two chapters. I guess we can do one more chapter here. Chapter 4, Desire. Let's discuss it as well. As I can see it's a 13 minutes, so we can complete it in 20, I guess. The changes which take place in your life as a result of your changed concept of yourself always appear to be unenlightened, to be the result not of the change of your consciousness, but of the chance, outer cause, or the coincidence. However, the only fate governing your life is the fate determined by your own concepts, your own assumptions. For an assumption, though false, if persisted, will harden into fact. The ideal you seek and hope to attain will not manifest itself, will not be realized by you until you have imagined that you are already that ideal. There is no escape for you except by radical psychological transformation of yourself, except by your assumption of feeling of your wish fulfilled. Therefore, make result of or accomplishment the crucial test of your ability to use your imagination. Everything depends on your attitude towards yourself. That which you will not affirm as true of yourself can never be realized by you. For that attitude alone is a necessary condition by which you realize your goal. All transformation is based upon the suggestion, and this can work only where you lay yourself completely open to influence. You must abandon yourself to your ideal as a woman abandons herself to love. For complete abandonment of self to it is the way to union with your ideal. You must assume the feelings of the wish fulfilled until your assumption has all the sensory vividness of reality. You must imagine that you are already experiencing what you desire. This is, you must assume the feeling of fulfillment of your desire until you are opposed. You are possessed by it, and this feeling crowds all other ideas out of your consciousness. The man who is not prepared for the conscious plunge into the assumption of the wish fulfilled in the faith that it is the only way to the realization of his dream is not yet ready to live consciously by the law of assumption. Although there is no doubt that he does live by the law of assumption unconsciously, but for you who accept this principle and are ready to live by consciously assuming that your wish is already fulfilled, the adventure of the life begins. To reach a higher level of being, you must assume a higher concept of yourself. If you will not imagine yourself as other than what you are, then you remain as you are. For if you believe not that I am He, you shall die in your sins. If you do not believe that you are He, the person you want to be, then you remain as you are. Through the faithful systematic cultivation of the feelings of the wish fulfilled, desires becomes the promise of its own fulfillment. The assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled makes the future dreams a present fact. Thank you so much. It was so enlightening. I have been reading few books, and it's very interesting to know that the way he is describing the power of consciousness and the power of desire and the power of awareness. These are the same topics which has been discussed in the book of The Secret. It is all inside us. We have to start thinking, the thoughts are the creation, the manifestation. We are the manifestors of our own world, I have been saying this line a lot recently, that we are manifestors and I am manifestor of my own world. If I keep thinking negative thought patterns, so my world has become a negative manifestation. But if I just charge my world with the positive thoughts, maybe my manifested world would be different. Not maybe, 100% sure. So my thought about this is that, as I know that he was the author of decades ago, long ago. But then, if these teachings, these preachings, these theories will be taught in the schools and colleges to the young generation of our time, they would be enlightened. Because, I have seen so many people who are depressed, who don't know what to do. People are suiciding or killing themselves or hating each other. They have this feeling or concept of scarcity. They think that there is a lack in the world. But if you are introduced to these concepts that says the universe is abundant, it has enough for everyone, they will stop fighting for the things, and maybe they all can survive in this world which they have created through their positive thoughts, healing process. So that's my take on these concepts. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching Reflecting Minds. See you again. Bye.